songs. This is probably outdated, it's probably double this. Recorded more than 150 songs, earned 5 Grammy Awards. Back in 2014, he became the third musical artist after Michael Jackson and Madonna to have a song in the top 40 of the Billboard Hot 100 over each decade since the 80s. In 2020, Billboard named him number 15 of the top 100 music video artists of all time. He's written 2 children's books, and there's an action figure. Ladies and gentlemen, Weird Al Yankovic.
The number 27?
Yes.
Well, yeah, the longtime fans know that the number 27 appears frequently in my work. And it's sort of like a secret handshake because I think, I don't know why, I think I used the number 27 in a couple song lyrics, like back in the early 80s. And fans were like, what does he mean by that? Is there some kind of conceptual continuity? Why is he using that number? And then when I realized people were obsessing over that, then I started like fanning the flames, and I started like putting the number 27 everywhere just so people would go, oh, this means something.
Yeah, any Pam Anderson stories? She's big in the news.
Oh gosh, I wish I had a good story. I did do VIP, so I had a scene with her on that show. We didn't have a scene together on Naked Gun, obviously, but I got to see her at the New York premiere. We didn't actually get to hang out and chat, but we got to take a picture together.
Yeah.
She was very sweet, and I just thought she was wonderful in The Last Showgirl. Did you see that?
Yes.
Yeah, she was terrific. I thought she should have gotten some Academy of Love on that.
Absolutely impressed me.
But I'm enjoying seeing her third act or her second and a half act, or what do you want to call it?
2.5. Well, they put on 2.5. That
There you
takes
go.
me to the next one. It's a premiere. He must.
Yeah.
I never got to meet him.
Met him a few times. He was exactly as wonderful as you think he'd be. I asked to see his little hand fart machine, and he was more than happy to, give me a demonstration.
You were one of many.
I like free speech. I think that's a good thing. And parody has always been a bit of a gray area because I talk about this in a lot of interviews because I do get permission every single time I do a parody.
That's great.
Legally, I don't necessarily need to. I could get around it, and almost in every case where a parody case has gone to court, the judges ruled in favor of the parody artist because it's free speech. It's a I forget what the legal technical term is, but it's protected under the law in most cases. But I like to respect artists. I don't want to make anybody mad, and I just want to make sure that there's no hard feelings. So I always, as a personal apology, just make sure that everybody's cool with it before we do it.
I think a lot of us probably had your poster in our bedrooms when we were kids back in the 80s and 90s. Florence Henderson.
Oh, Florence Henderson's the best. She, it was such a treat to have her on the set of Amish Paradise, and she was very into it. She was very, serious and professional about her part. She was like always trying to suck in her cheeks like Michelle Pfeiffer, so she wanted to really get that kind of vibe going.
She was naughty. Mrs. Brady was naughty. She
not to me,
no.
but I didn't read Greg's book, so I don't know.
She behaved herself around you.
Yeah.
George Lucas.
Yeah, he was great. I mean, thankfully I got my permissions before Disney took that all over, because that would have been a little bit harder probably. But George had a great sense of humor, and he loved the parodies. I have a memory. The first time I actually met George Lucas in person was some kind of benefit, and we're outside, and we were talking to each other, and this fan comes up to me and starts asking for an autograph, and I'm like, I'm talking to George Lucas here. It was very weird.
Who's one of your idols that you guys meet? Somebody that you worshipped as a kid that you ended up.
Oh, I'm going to say Eric Idle, because I grew up like a huge
Idol was your
fan.
idol.
Yeah, that's true. But he's one of those times when I was so in awe of the man, and over the years we've just become pretty close friends. Like we hang out, we jam together, and it's really fun. And it's just like it's one of those kind of things where I have to pinch myself. I was like,
right.
Hanging out with Eric Idle.
Along those lines, can you remember a time when you were maybe at a party, a Hollywood party, and you're like, oh my gosh, how did I end up here? Where you're surrounded by all these famous people. Does that resonate with you at all?
Yeah, I mean, I've told this story many times, and a lot of you probably know it already, but I mean, one of the first big kind of Hollywood parties I went to was a premiere for Paul McCartney's, I think it was Give My Regards to Broad Street, which was the album, which was the movie he had out in 1984. And I don't know how I even got invited, but, and this is shortly after E Day had come out, so I hadn't been in the public eye very long at all. And I was kind of hanging out with Michael Keaton, who at the time had just done, I think, Mr. Mom or something. And we were like, we can't believe Paul McCartney's here. Oh, this is exciting. And I asked the publicist, I was like, is it possible, could I meet Paul? And she's like, no, he's very busy. He's talking to MTV, don't worry. But I thought, this is my one chance to really meet a Beatle. So I kind of weaseled my way through the crowd, and I got 6 feet behind Paul. And if you see the MTV interview with Martha Quinn, she's talking to Paul McCartney, you see me in the background with my head kind of... Yeah. And I finally, after the crowd dispersed a bit, I walked up to Paul and said, Mr. McCartney, hi, my name is Al. And he goes, oh, Weird Al. Honey, look, it's Weird Al. And then my mind went completely blank, and he was talking to me for a minute, and I have no idea what he said to me. And all these cameras were going off and flashing in our faces, and I thought, hello, I'm talking to Paul McCartney.
So I want to ask about Prince. So Prince has come up now 3 times on the stage. I did a panel with the cast of Dallas, and Charlene Tilton talked about having hosted SNL, and he was the musical guest. We just did a panel with the Goonies, and it was Martha Plimpton, talked about how she got to meet Prince. Now, Prince kind of gave you a hard time. His people maybe did. Tell us that story with what you'd like to tell.
Well, there's so many examples. Prince is kind of the one that got away, because I would have loved to have done a Prince parody. In fact, instead of Money for Nothing as the centerpiece of UHF, it was originally going to be a parody of Let's Go Crazy about the Beverly Hillbillies. And that was one of maybe a half a dozen songs that I had pitched Prince, not directly, of course, but we floated the idea of how about a parody of so-and-so called this, and the answer was always just no. Not just why or whatever. And it's not that he didn't have a good sense of humor. Apparently, I heard an audio recording of him talking about how much he loved the Fat video.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but he was very kind of precious about his own music. He didn't like people messing with it. He was very protective of it. And he was just kind of a strange bird, I mean, he's a genius, and I'm a big fan of his work, but he was an odd guy.
Very, very strange. I was covering the gold... What was that? No? Oh, I thought I heard. I was covering the Golden Globes one year, and I got into the Vanity Fair party early, and there was a rumor that he was going to be performing. And he was the only one in the back of the room, and they were still setting up. And I walked up to him, and I said, Prince, it's nice to meet you. I'm with USA Today. And he's sucking the lollipop. Like this. And I said, so, did you get to see the show? What was your favorite part of the show? That was the entire interview, was him sucking that lollipop and looking at me.
He didn't actually answer?
He did not answer. It was,
wow.
It was so
What flavor was it?
Wow. So strange.
Yeah.
But then there was something that I guess you were not supposed to look him in the eyes or something like that, which is so crazy.
Yeah, that story. And again, this has been bandied about a lot, but this was, I forget what year it was. It was in the 90s, maybe. Apparently, we were going to be sitting in the same row at the American Music Awards.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And this sounds like it's the 1800s, but we got a telegram from Prince's office saying that I was not to establish eye contact with Prince during the show, which I thought was odd. And immediately we sent him a telegram saying, yeah, don't look at me either. It goes both ways. Well, I thought I was being singled out, but then I was talking to some other people. I knew that the guy's a night ranger, and they said, "Did you get a telegram from Prince?" Like, yeah, we got that too.
Yeah, very honored by that. The Muppets. You worked with the Muppets.
Yeah, on the Muppet Mayhem.
Tell me about what it's like.
That was fun.
The Muppets.
I was in Muppet Magazine with Fozzie in 1984, I think it was, and I've always been a huge fan. And then Adam Goldberg, who did the Goldbergs, he also was one of the producers on Muppet Mayhem. And he's a big fan of mine, and he's like, we got to get you on the Muppets. And yes, you do! Absolutely. So they wrote that part in for me, which I loved. And I wish that still was on the air. That lasted one season. I hope so.
There's hope. Who else has a question? White hat there. Yes. Yeah, you.
Right here.
Yes.
So you said Prince did not give you permission. Had you already wrote the song, and then he told you? And how often do you write the song first, or do you wait to get permission?
I generally, particularly because of my dealings with Prince, I've learned to not bother writing the entire song before asking for permission, because if it's no, that's a lot of wasted effort. So generally, the rule is I'll come up with an idea, And I'm pretty good knowing if an idea is going to translate to a full song, because some ideas are like funny. That's going to be funny for a verse and a chorus, but I don't think I can be funny for 3 minutes with that. So basically, if I really believe in an idea, we'll pitch that, and if the artist says yes, then I'll bother writing the song. I think I'd written an entire song for UHF for Let's Go Crazy. Maybe there might have been 1 or 2 other songs I'd written an entire song, and again, that was wasted effort because, again, he wasn't into it.
Well, someone who I think was super protective would have been Michael Jackson. He loved you. You had a great relationship.
Yeah,
with
he was great. Michael, I mean, and this was, but obviously before Eat It, and I wasn't really well known outside of the people that listened to the Dr. Demento show. My first album did okay, but I mean, I wasn't like, a household name or somebody you'd recognize on the street. So the fact that Michael Jackson gave me his blessing that early on was amazing. Yeah, absolutely.
Huge.
And I should also say Don McLean for American Pie, because I wanted to do that for The Saga Begins. And I was told, by a lot of people, like, oh no, he's never going to let you do that. Like, he's so precious with that song. He never lets anybody do anything.
Yes.
But he liked me, so
yeah,
it was nice.
very likable.
Yeah,
very likable.
Thank you.
3 rows back with the blue shirt. Yes, you. Yep.
All right. So I gotta know, when you were recording My Bologna in the bathroom, so what was that like? Did you have to tell people not to come in the bathroom? Did you just what was that like, just recording that song in the bathroom?
It wasn't getting a lot of traffic anyway. Because I remember we recorded that in the summer in San Luis Obispo, California, in the Graphic Arts Building, and there really weren't a lot of people there. It was across the hall from the campus radio station, and either school wasn't in session or the summer attendance was very light, so we weren't getting a lot of people going, hey, move it, we gotta go. So it was just me and the engineer who was recording in the production room, and that was pretty much it.
The gentleman in the front row, please, right there.
What was your favorite non-parody song you made that you're most proud of?
Yeah.
Ooh, it changes every day. I don't know. Well, I think the most popular one is probably Dare to Be Stupid. But there's a lot that I'm proud of. I think my current favorite is probably Jackson Park Express, which is on the last album, which was a lot of labor of love in terms of production, because there was a lot that went into that. I somehow always had a long song on the album. I like doing the long songs. Oh yeah.
Right there, yellow hat.
So I have to say, you helped me raise my son. We would be in the car, he'd start misbehaving, and I'd put stuff in the drive-through.
That's a punishment.
Like 7 minutes, he's like, Dad, I'll behave.
Nice.
So great. Yes, I can't see what you're wearing. Yes.
Me?
Right there.
Okay. How much fun did you have making your movie, the Weird Al story? The one, with Daniel Radcliffe, and was he your first pick to play you?
He was. Eric Appel, the director, and I had a short list of people that we would consider for the role, but Daniel was right at the top of the list, and a lot of people thought that was odd casting, because obviously he doesn't look a whole lot like me, and he's British, and there's a lot of reasons why people might not associate him with me, but I was a big fan of his acting, particularly all the stuff they did at Post Potter, because he took a lot of chances. He did a lot of roles which were, for want of a better word, kind of weird. And I was just really impressed by that. And I think the thing that really kind of got him on my radar was a thing he did, I think around 2010. He was on the Graham Norton show on the BBC, and he was on with Colin Farrell and Rihanna. And for some reason, he decided to do a parody of the Element song by Tom Lehrer, which is one of the nerdiest things you can possibly do. And he just started singing this song a cappella in front of Rihanna and Colin Farrell, and they're looking at him like, who is this nerd? And I thought, oh, we are kindred spirits. I like this guy.
I just listened to the TV album again last week. Love it. What TV?
Yeah. Oh gosh, what's the last thing I watched? Trying to think. I just watched the Diva documentary and the Billy Joel documentary. I like music documentary kind of things. But I don't know, Hacks, The Studio.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to think what all, I liked all the Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul stuff. And,
Sure. Anything, well, you can't give me any scoops. Now, I'm not even going to ask about shows today that would be good for spoofing.
oh yeah, well they all are.
They all are. They all are. Who else? Yes, right there.
Hi, two of my biggest heroes are Aaron and Danny from Game Grumps. What was it like just hanging out with them, playing video games with them?
It was really fun. I really liked those guys. We had a great time playing. It was a Wheel of Fortune, I think it was. Yeah, they're just really cool and just fun to get along with, and I just like their whole life.
Critiquing them. Have you seen it yourself?
I like to think that my last 7 albums in general are better than my first seven albums, just because I kind of get better at what I do, and my singing's better, and I think my songwriting's a little bit better. But you know, when I listen to my old material, I'll either hear something, you know, ooh, I could have done that better, or I'll surprise myself and go, oh, that was pretty good. I was clever back in 1988 or whatever it was. So it's mixed feelings. It's kind of interesting to be able to listen to songs with a little bit of distance, because when I'm working on something actively, like, you know, finishing an album, I'll listen to the same songs over and over and over and only listen for what I could do better. So for the longest time, when I hear like new material, all I can hear are the mistakes, you know. But when I hear songs that I did 20, 30 years ago, I can listen to it more objectively and go, oh, okay, well, that was all right.
Thank you.
Since this is a fan convention, probably a lot of sci-fi fans, Lost in Space fans. Bill Mumy is a very good friend of yours. I want to
Yes.
ask how that started and what bonded you guys.
Well, Bill Mumy was one half of Barnes and Barnes. He was Art Barnes, and his friend Robert Hamer was the other Barnes. And I was a big fan of Lost in Space when I was a kid. Bill and I are you know, contemporaries age-wise. But when I started going to the Dr. Demano show and just hanging out around the studio and answering phones, they would be there as well, and we got to be friends. And he never introduced himself as Bill Mumy, ever. It was just, he was Art Barnes, and I just knew him as Art Barnes. And for some reason I thought, that's your name, okay, you're Art Barnes. And he invited me to his house to record something, I think. And I went to his house, and I'm walking around, and there's all this Lost in Space art everywhere, and pictures of young Billy Mumy. And I'm like, what kind of a freak are you? Like, you're really into Lost in Space. Like, what's your deal? And then afterwards, I found out, oh no, that is Billy Mumy. Like, oh, okay, I got it. Sorry.
And you introduced him to your wife, is that right?
He knew Suzanne, the woman that I married, and he said, you guys should go out together. So he fixed us up.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that. Yes, the woman with her scarf. Yes.
Wanted to say thank you. You actually gave me this scarf by singing One More Minute during the Brain with Scissors tour.
I remember. Good to see you again.
How were you able to do the costume changes so fast during your concert?
Good question.
Well, you know, we have the films very carefully selected so that we have just enough time to do the costume changes. So hopefully nothing goes wrong backstage. Everybody's got their clothes laid out on tables. I actually have somebody helping me get into my wardrobe backstage to help me out. In fact, when you do the fat costume, we have 2 people helping me out to get in and out of that. But we want to make it as quick as possible so it doesn't become just a film clip show.
Can you tell us a story when something went terribly wrong backstage during a concert?
Oh, it doesn't happen that often,
Nothing
you know.
falling or...
No, I mean, things happen, but things will be like, I'll be halfway through a costume change and go like, no, it's the wrong costume. Like, I have to like start all over.
So this, everyone's doing ChatGPT now, so I asked them to come up with a question for you, and I kind of like this one. If aliens abducted you and demanded a concert, which song would you play to prove Earth is worth sparing? This is
Pressure.
I gotta go with Albuquerque, I guess.
Perfect. Do you believe in aliens?
Sure.
Yes, the man with the beard who's really waving his hand.
I'm an accordion player too. I just wanted to know, I was listening to your albums, I learned how to play by listening to you and everything. But I've noticed that you mainly use dry-tuned accordions versus musette. Is there a reason for that? Do you prefer dry-tuning over
I'm sorry, I prefer.
Drive to accordion?
dry-tuned accordion versus musette?
Music. I like to use the master switch, which is all reeds. I know you can, and I don't know why, but I just always just keep it on the master switch. Musette is more for like the kind of the French sounding accordion. So I might have used that on Genius in France for like the French sections. But mostly I just like the plain, generic accordion sound.
I'm guessing a lot of children probably picked up the accordion because of you. You probably hear that.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
The woman on the end of the row, right there.
Yeah, it's an interesting story how I got involved with the Transformers franchise. My record label said, we're going to put Dare to Be Stupid on the soundtrack, and I said, okay. That was pretty much it, and I'm glad to be part of the franchise, and I've signed a lot of Transformers memorabilia at conventions like this one, and it's great to be part of it. And I got to voice Wreck Garv, one for Transformers Animated, which was a lot of fun. Oh, please sit down. So yeah, I'm very glad to be a part of that.
Can you remember any fan who brought up something for you to sign that surprised you or was just odd?
Yeah, I mean, there's some very rare memorabilia that comes, like on this con, somebody came up with my Placebo EP, which is something that I pressed 1,000 copies of and did my own cover and folded the cover and put it in a little plastic sack and took it around to record stores around LA, back in 1981, I think it was.
Amoeba Records?
Yeah, whoever was around. Yeah. So that's very, rare and hard to come by. So every now and then I go like, ooh, wow, nice. Wow.
Who else? Yes, the gentleman there with the black hat.
When you were making Hardware Store, what was your inspiration for that?
I liked songs that were just like impossibly fast. There's several songs that kind of inspired that. There was a song called Life is a Rock, the radio rolled it, something like that, by Replay. It was like a song of the 70s that was popular for like a week.
Reunion.
Yeah, very good. So stuff like that, and We Didn't Start the Fire, and It's the End of the World. It was, I just wanted a really fast Lisp song, and I thought, it would be kind of fun to do a song about a guy that was just like obsessed with hardware stores. And a lot of my songs were about obsession, oddly enough, but that's one of them.
Who are some of the younger artists now that you find interesting?
My daughter kind of keeps me up to date on current music. I'm not as plugged into pop music as I was 10, 20 years ago. But she got me kind of into Chapel Roan. That was kind of fun. Did a duet with Will Forte at the Thunder Gong benefit last year. We're going to be doing something again this year. I don't know exactly what we're going to do. Do you have any suggestions what we should duet on this year? I don't know.
Any thoughts?
Pink Pony Club. Yeah, Pink Pony Club.
Sabrina Carpenter, is she somebody that you... Sabrina Carpenter?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she was my co-star on Mother Murphy's Law. We got to both be voice actors together on that show. Yeah.
Any stories about Sabrina, young Sabrina?
I didn't really know her that well. I mean, when we recorded our stuff, we did it independently. We never saw each other in the studio. And the only time we actually met was sort of a behind-the-scenes video that Disney was putting together to say, we got a new show.
Right.
So that was it. So I don't have any real...
Love Chapel. That's
Yeah.
Sabrina. Who else? Yes, the one with the long, beautiful black hair who's raising her. Yes, you.
What's your favorite Beatles song?
I've done some Beatles songs. I did let's see, what did I do? Well, Hey Jude is one of my earliest polka medleys. I did a parody of Taxman called Pac-Man, which didn't make it onto any official albums until Medium Rarities, because back in the day, when I did that for Dr. Demento in 1982, I think it was, George Harrison's attorneys came after Dr. Demento and said, we never approved that, and Dr. Demento said, okay, fine. But then I got to be friends with George Harrison's son, Danny, like decades later, and I said, hey, we're doing this Rarities album, and can we put this Beatles parody on it? And he's like, oh yeah, sure. So after I don't know how many years, that finally became a semi-official release.
I love your stories. I mean, guys, I could go 2 hours of this, but I promise I won't. Who else? Yes, the gentleman there. You.
So UHF is a cult classic for me and probably some other people. It feels like a lot of it is very improv. So how much of it was actually scripted and how was creating that movie?
It's mostly as per the script, except Michael Richards did a fair amount of improv. Like the whole thing he did with you know, at the window when he was going, "Moo, watermelon tastes like poop," doing all this kind of crazy stuff. That was just like saying, "Okay, Michael, we're gonna roll the camera and be funny." So a lot of his stuff was improv, but pretty much everybody else was to the script.
And you had a question right there.
Weird question.
Perfect for Weird Al.
Way back on Nature Trail to Hell, I love. In the middle of the song, it's like the devil or demon, whatever his thoughts, and it sounds like it's a backwards recording. I always wondered what it actually says.
Okay, I've done backwards masking twice, and that was the first time. And there was a lot of like satanic panic at the time, and people like being all upset because like there were these demonic messages. So I thought, oh, I want a demonic message in my song. So in the middle of Nature Trail to Hell, if you play it backwards, and I don't recommend this on a turntable, but if you play it backwards, you hear me going, "Satan eats cheese whiz." And the other one is a song years later called I Remember Larry. And at the end of the song, it's very psychedelic, and it's a little harder to hear, but you hear in harmony me singing, "Boy, you must have a lot of extra free time on your hands."
We're about to enter October. What did you dress up as for Halloween when you were a kid?
Gosh, what did I do as a kid? There's a home movie of me. I think I was dressed up as a pirate with pantyhose over my face for some reason. I don't know that pirates really wore pantyhose over their face. I don't know what that was
Probably
about.
some of them. I heard stories. A couple of them did.
Yeah, I don't know. Nowadays, they just dress up like Kenny G.
Okay, I don't. The gentleman with the toy gun. I hope it's.
Okay. Sorry. Have you ever thought about maybe? As I know, people probably asked you about bringing back UHF, but maybe as sort of like an SCTV sketch comedy show, like U62 got popular enough to get picked up like WGN.
I wouldn't do a straight on UHF sequel. I think that UHF kind of is a product of its time, and any kind of sequel lends itself to people going like, "Oh, the first one was so much better." Which is an honest thing because there's a lot of nostalgia built into it. But the whole idea of me doing like little pop culture parodies and things like that, I mean, the idea of doing like a UHF inspired kind of sketch comedy show, I'm very much into that. In fact, that's something that I've pitched a few times over the years. And sketch comedy is just a really hard thing to sell to a network because historically it doesn't do great in ratings. It's hard for people to buy. I mean, there was at one point, I probably shouldn't be saying this, but at one point, I was partnered with Lin-Manuel Miranda and Scott Aukerman, and the three of us were trying to sell a sketch comedy show. Sort of like, and nobody wanted it. Not a single person wanted it. Sorry.
Thank you.
This is a two-part question, but one, what would be like a big hit song either from today or back then that you would do a parody of, and what would be one that you would not touch?
What was the first? What a song today?
Yeah, a song either from today or back then that you didn't do a parody of that you would love to do a parody of.
I don't know. I mean, there are songs that definitely slip between the cracks that I might have taken a shot at if the timing had worked out. Because, I was trying to be as topical as possible. So if I was like far away, if I was in the middle of an album cycle, or if I knew I wouldn't be putting out an album for another year, I wouldn't be inclined to do something that was popular at that moment. So I think I probably missed the timing on Vanilla Ice and a few things like that, which if it had come out, in a more topical manner, that would have worked. But there are a number of songs and a number of artists that I wish I would have, had the opportunity to take advantage of at the right time, but it just didn't work out.
We have time for one more question, so it has to be a good one. Really, think about your question.
A lot of pressure.
Who has a good one? You look very confident.
Have you ever been to the biggest ball of twine in Minnesota? And if so, how majestic was it?
Yes, I have been there, and to answer your second question, it was pretty stinking majestic.
As are you, sir.